This is the new VW ID Buzz. It's an electric people carrier that's based sort of on a van, but also really based underneath on a VW ID4. Now, its heritage dates back 75 years to the original T1 VW van. Obviously, at the moment, we've got the T6 van, which has been around for quite a while now, and there's the T7, which is a hybrid, and then this all-electric version, which is the ID Buzz. Confused? Or are you just dazzled by the crazy paint scheme? That's actually camouflage because this is a prototype. So there's certain things I'm not supposed to show you inside this van, but I'll try to. Also, I'm going to launch it, see how quick it is from 0 to 60 miles an hour, and I'm going to do a range test. Have some fun with it. Sorry, because I'm Matt Watson and you're watching Carwow.
Buying a new car? Then head to Carwow and my team will help you find your next car at a fair price. Carwow, your one-stop car buying comparison site.
Let's start off this video by talking about the design of the ID Buzz, because this is going to be one of the key selling points, because it's a cool looking people carrier slash van. The van version is actually called the Cargo, and if you want to be taking this thing surfing, there will be a California camper version as well in a few years. Anyway, look at the design. The front, it's got a face to it. Big VW nose. You can get matrix LED headlights as an option, so they'll blank out part of their beam so you don't dazzle oncoming drivers, although you might do with this livery it's got on it at the moment. It's got quite a big front bumper there like that, gives it a purposeful stance. Moving down the sides, these wheels, 20-inch alloys. The Cargo version has like plastic wheel trims and steel wheels underneath. They look good, although they're designed for aero efficiency to maximise your range. More on that in a bit. So the headlights go down the side of the vehicle. It's quite square in shape, traditional van-based MPV. Now I can't show you in there because the back seats and stuff are still secret, 'cause it's a prototype. No, you can't really see through it either. Anyway, moving to the back, the ID lights wrap around. I like the light design at the back, this simple bar, big VW logo again at the rear. Now this, because it is the people carrier version, the tailgate opens up like that. The van Cargo version, the tailgate opens out like that. Now the interesting thing about this is the size, because you probably noticed the short front and rear overhangs. Makes it look cool on the road. But it also means that even though this is the same amount of space inside as a T6 van, it's actually about 20 centimetres shorter on the outside, which should make it easier to park. Now let's talk about batteries and charging and all that stuff. Not sure I'm supposed to show you in there, so I'll quickly cover it up so I don't get into too much trouble with VW. Anyway, this thing has a 77 kilowatt hour battery pack, and you have DC charging up to 135 kilowatts, and you can charge from 10% full to 80% full in just over 30 minutes. The range on this vehicle is supposed to be around 250 miles, but we'll find out about that because I'm doing a range test in a bit. Thing you need to know is that it's rear wheel drive with a motor at the back, 204 horsepower and 310 Newton meters of torque. You will be able to get a four-wheel drive version which also has a motor at the front. They'll have around 300 horsepower. In terms of pricing, it's not cheap this. That's always the case with electric vehicles. It starts from around £50,000. Now, if you're thinking about buying one of these, you probably need to sell your current vehicle, and you can now do that through Carwow. All you have to do is upload some images, brief description, and our dealers will bid on your car to make sure you get a good price for it. And they'll come to your house, take the car away, and put the money in your account. It's simple. If you want to do that now, click on the pop-out button up there, follow the link in the description below. Alternatively, you can do it after this video by simply Googling "Wow Me Carwow," and we will wow you. Now let's talk about the interior, although there's not much that I can say. You see, I've got Marcus here from Volkswagen, who's my minder. He's here to make sure that I don't show any of the interior design, because we're not allowed to. He's also here to make sure I don't do anything silly with the vehicle, but I'm going to see what I can explain to you. So, oh, that looks interesting. You're going to like that. I like these seats. They're comfy. You can't see much of them. I can't really show you the infotainment system, but it's very similar to the one that you get in the ID4, just a slightly different design for the screen surround. Are you sure I can't show them under there?
No, unfortunately not.
Back seats?
You just could step aside and
okay.
Explain what you're seeing.
So this is going to be a bit like radio. You can't see it, but I'll let you know what I'm seeing. So I'm going to go in through the back door. Oh, it's electrically operated, this one is. So I'm in the middle row. This is the 5-seater. You will be able to get a 7-seater version. So what else can we see? Oh, they do recline. These seats recline and they move forward and backwards. Oh, actually, you can fold them flat, and there seems to be a false floor in here that, wait there. See if I can move that out of the way. There's a load cover which I've just disconnected and I'm now getting in a terrible mess with. Let's maybe move this out of the way. Marcus, can you just take that for me? There we go. So I'm now just lying down in the back of the ID Buzz, and you could probably fit a mattress in here and use it as a place to sleep. Oh, and it's got two-tone colour interior, which I quite like. So, not the usual practicality test that I like to do. I wonder if Marcus will mind if I yeet it. I won't, no I won't, it's all right. Yeah, it's very spacious back there, seems quite comfortable. In terms of the boot capacity, it looks like it's over 1,000 litres. Now if you have the van version, apparently it can carry 2 Euro crates. One last thing you need to know, towing capacity, it's 1 tonne. 1 tonne's not great for a van, Marcus.
Yeah, but it's great for an EV, right?
Okay, let's drive it. Right, now I'm going to drive the ID Buzz. So first thing I'm going to do is reset the trip computer, because we'll measure the efficiency of it over this course that I'm about to drive. I'm going to start off driving in an urban environment. The ID Buzz, both the van and this multivan, will be used for driving around town. So if it's the van that we're doing deliveries, probably with an Amazon driver at its helm. And if you are just a person driving their multivan, then obviously you're going to pick up your friends and family to carry them around. So let's try it in town. First of all, going over a speed hump. Very good test this. So vans ain't great over speed humps, just the design of them. You know, they're designed to carry a lot of weight and they have very rudimentary rear suspension. However, this based on the ID4, which is a passenger car which doesn't have rudimentary suspension, and you notice it feels car-like to drive. It really does. Obviously electric cars, they're quite heavy, so they do have to have stiffer suspension to stop them leaning too much when you go around a corner, but despite that the suspension feels really good. I'm going over a rough surface here, which in a van I'd be shaking about a bit. I'd feel it in my man boobs wobbling. Not here at all. And I've got to say, I love the driving position. So you're sat up high. That's always one of the benefits of a van. That's why they drive right next to your rear bumper on the motorway, because they can see right over the top of you. So you get that experience of being able to see really far ahead of you, but also there's just something about the design of this with the big dash, which you aren't allowed to see, and the roofline which extends forward. It has a real character to it. It just feels special. It doesn't feel like a van, it feels like its own thing. In fact, it's very reminiscent of the original camper vans, the old buses from back in the day. It's very unique feeling, and visibility is really good as well, though you do have a lot of safety systems to help you out just in case you make a mistake. Yep, nice and easy to drive, so manoeuvring. The steering is super light, really light, which is great when you're just pottering about around town. Brakes, let me just try them, because sometimes electric car brakes can be a bit grabby. No, the pedal's quite smooth. I can put it into a regen mode. I'm going to do that now. I think I'll move that forward, go into B mode. Let's try this, see if it'll come to a complete stop when I lift off the accelerator. Can I one pedal drive this thing? Can I? Stop moving. No, I can't. It's still creeping a little bit. Now let's check the manoeuvrability. I'm going to go around this mini roundabout. Vans aren't that manoeuvrable, but this has a decent turning circle apparently, but I'm not sure if I'm going to make it round in one go. I'm not sure. Ooh, I will. Right, what's happening is the car that's filming this has got stuck going around there. If I make it round, this van wins a definite thumbs up for me for navigating around town. Oh yes! We did it! So this van, super practical, very spacious inside, yet it's more manoeuvrable than that Skoda Octavia. There we go. Sorry. We just did a little test there, so I was reversing up. I didn't check well enough. The car's safety system spotted that there was a car behind me and it auto-braked. If that system wasn't fitted to this van, I would have crashed into that car. First lesson, keep your wits about you. Second lesson is buy a modern car with safety systems, because they will save your skin. Sorry about that. Right, now let's try the ID Buzz out on some quicker roads. So impress me in town. What's it going to be like when you're going a little bit faster? So one of the benefits about electric cars is they have a low centre of gravity, and that means that it does prevent the cars from leaning so much in the bends as if the weight was a bit higher up. Vans do have a tendency to lean quite a lot in the corners. Also, we mustn't forget, this is rear wheel drive, like a sports car. Okay, so I'm coming up to another roundabout. I'm going to actually put the car into sports mode. Makes the throttle response sharper. It also adds a bit of weight to the steering, because the steering is very light. Okay, let's have a go around here, see what happens. Come on, van. Can we keep up with our Skoda Octavia VRS? Fine, look at this, staying flat. And then, out of this corner, I'm going to give it a bit of a squirt. What's it like putting its traction down? All 204 horsepowers. Oh, yes. Okay, so this is a bit odd. I'm starting to really want a people carrier. But this car is going to make people carriers desirable again. You know, they went out of fashion, didn't they? Everyone was just switching into SUVs. People are going to get one of these. I want one. One thing I've noticed while driving this around is that the door mirrors could do with being a little bit bigger. It's quite a long slab-sided vehicle, so sometimes you can't see things that are just in your blind spot, so you really do have to look around. You do have blind spot monitoring on it though, but it wasn't seeming to pick it up, or maybe I'm just a really crap driver. There's another thing I've noticed about this, and I'm not sure if you can see it from this angle. So the steering wheel seems to be slightly off-centre. I don't know if that's because a journalist who's driven this before me has managed to drive it into a curb at speed, or it's something to do with the fact that this is just a prototype and they haven't done the fine tuning that they do when they send a car out to be sold to a customer. So if I'm put it straight, it tends to just go to the left. Okay, let's see what the ID Buzz is like to drive on the motorway. First thing to do is to get up to speed and away from the scary lorries. Another thing that's good is that because you're sat up high, you don't feel quite so threatened by those big trucks and lorries. It's definitely quieter than a normal van, although I guess it's not a van, you know, this is a people carrier. You don't have any internal combustion engine creating a noise up front, so your ears pick up on other noises. So I've got a little bit of wind noise, but actually it's very, very quiet in here. It's much more relaxing than you'd imagine a van to be. Another good thing about it is, look, it's got good places to rest your arms there. Look at that, so you can just soak up the miles. Well, as far as you're allowed to go on the remaining range. And I've got adaptive cruise control here, so I've got to press some buttons. There we go, I think we're on. Are we on? Yeah, we're on. There we go. Now, I'm not the biggest fan of the touch-sensitive buttons you get on the steering wheel here. They're the same pretty much as you get in the ID3 and ID4, and I think it's a little bit of a step backwards for Volkswagen. They tried to be too clever. I prefer the actual more physical pressy buttons that you get in their older vehicles. It's my only real complaint. And I am enjoying just sitting up high, getting a good view forward. It's nice and relaxing. I've got the car doing all the hard work, steering to keep me in lane, auto brake to keep me a safe distance from the car in front. Seats are comfy, and I've got this bit here as well. Yeah, I could go a long way in this. And then when you need to overtake, put your foot down and it picks up pretty nicely. It's the benefit of electric power. One thing I'm not noticing though, which I'm impressed with, is road noise. It's just wind noise really, but you expect that from a van, especially something with big door mirrors like that. In fact, it just feels like an SUV to drive really, rather than a people carrier or a van. Then it's not a van, it's based on the ID4. Here we go. Oh, there we go. Last test of the suspension there over some gnarly potholes. Believe me, if I was in a traditional van or a traditional MPV, that would have been less comfortable or more uncomfortable. So I've come to the end of the drive now. Let's check out the energy consumption. So this has done 23.1 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers, and that means I can't actually do the maths in my head. So we'll flash a number up on the screen. What that means in terms of the real world range, when you take into account that this has a 77 kilowatt hour battery, and I've driven it for 17 miles, so it's not an extensive test, but I have driven it in town, I've driven it on some country roads, and I've driven it on the motorway, so it's quite a decent range of environments. And this is the figure. Anyway, there's one last thing for me to do. Volkswagen hasn't listed a 0 to 60 time yet for the ID Buzz, so it's only right that I set one. Specialist timing gear here, I'm going to launch it. What's it going to do? Come on, ID Buzz, give me a buzz. 0 to 60 in 9.78 seconds, which is actually pretty good and quicker than I think you'll get from most vans. So then, what's my final verdict on the ID Buzz? Well, this prototype version. Do you know what? Sometimes vehicles come along that I actually want to buy. I want to own them myself. Suzuki Jimny was one, Toyota GR Yaris was another. I have both of those. I actually want one of these, and I think a lot of other people will as well. I think they'll be switching out their SUVs to drive around in one of these ID Buzzes. It's nice to drive and it looks cool. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, give it a like. If you didn't, give it a dislike. Let me know what you think of the ID Buzz. Do you think that you'd rather have one of these than an SUV? Let me know in the comments below. Click on those windows there for some more videos, and on that box there to go to CarWow, and we'll help you sell your car.